Hells Angels members reacting to life sentences. The legendary Hells Angels motorcycle gang is in a fight for their freedom that has never been seen before. See how these hardened criminals react when they get life terms, sealing their fates in the iron grip of the law. The untold secrets, hidden alliances, and fierce drive of these Hells Angels members will keep you on the edge of your seat as their futures hang in the balance. Today, the members of the Hells Angels face their toughest test yet, fighting for their lives. Joseph Lyncha is the leader of the Rhode Island chapter. The leader of the Hells Angels group in Rhode Island, Joseph Lyncha, was charged with assault, firing a gun, and having a pistol without a permit. Lynch's problems with the law began in 2019 when he shot a person he didn't know. In 2020, he got into a fight at a clubhouse, which made his court problems even worse. Lynch's lawyers claimed that he was acting in self-defense because the victim had threatened him, but he ended up pleading guilty and getting 15 years in prison. The story of Joseph Lyncha shows how much power chapter leaders have in the Hells Angels, that their places of power and respect in the club can be used to do violent things and keep control of their territory. Lynch's conviction shows that even people at the top of criminal groups can be punished for what they do. Richard DeVries, the Las Vegas Hells Angels president Richard DeVries, who was thought to be the leader of the Hells Angels group in Las Vegas, got into trouble with the law along with 7 other people. He was charged with racketeering in connection with a killing. The court heard proof that strongly linked members of the Hells Angels to the crime scene. The charge made it clear that the motorcycle club was a group of criminals. During a court appearance, DeVries was arrested, and his bail was set at $250,000. That the story of Richard DeVries shows how the Hells Angels can be involved in a wide range of illegal activities. The charges of racketeering and the fact that the club has been called a criminal gang show that there are bigger problems with the group as a whole. The fact that DeVries was found guilty and sent to jail sends a clear message that organized criminal groups will not be tolerated by the law. Jay Witt, exposing the role of a convicted criminal. Jay Witt was wanted for serious charges, such as racketeering, because he was a member of the Hells Angels. Witt was charged with murder, and a rival biker club tried to make the crime look like a break-in. During the trial, Witt's wife begged the judge to see him as a loving family man who wasn't what he looked like or who he was affiliated with. In the end, Witt got a long time in jail, joining other Hells Angels members who have been locked up for life. Jay Witt's story is a good reminder that even people who are part of the Hells Angels can get in trouble for doing illegal things. Even if people who care about them talk about how good they are, the seriousness of the crimes they did can't be ignored. That the way Witt was sentenced shows that society is still committed to holding people responsible for their violent criminal actions. Adam Lee Hall. The reign of terror of a high-ranking member. Adam Lee Hall, a well-known member of the Hells Angels, planned and carried out a cruel triple murder that he and his helpers took the victims hostage and shot them before cutting up their bodies. The reason for these horrible things was to keep people from talking about an attack case. Hall, who was known to have a lot of power in the club, showed that he didn't care at all about people's lives. Even though Hall said he was innocent and tried to question the reliability of witnesses, he was found guilty of multiple murders and given 3 consecutive life sentences. This made sure he would never be free again. Adam Lee Hall's case shows how the Hells Angels deal with power and how violent they are as a group. As a high-ranking member, Hall thought that if he used extreme violence, he could get rid of any danger to the club. Hall's guilt and sentence show that the justice system is determined to break up criminal groups and make their leaders answer for what they do. David Shallow, a brutal accomplice in a triple homicide. David Shallow was also charged with murder and kidnapping in the 2011 triple killing case. Shallow worked with Adam Lee Hall on the horrible killings, which included cutting up the bodies of the victims. During the hearing, the defense tried to discredit witnesses by saying that they were jailhouse snitches. The jurors, though, found Shallow guilty of first-degree murder, which shows how terrible the crimes were. He will have to spend the rest of his life in a jail cell because he has been given a life sentence. David Shallow's role in the triple murder shows how disturbingly loyal and close Hells Angels members can be to each other. That the code of silence and the fact that people are ready to do unthinkable acts of violence to protect the club's interests make it hard for law enforcement and the justice system to do their jobs. Shala's conviction is a stark warning that people who commit crimes like this will have to pay a high price for it. Caius Vioves was a strange vampire and a Satanist. Caius Vioves was involved in one of the most famous cases. He had horn-like implants in his forehead and tattoos that showed he was a vampire and a Satanist, which made him look very strange. Before he was involved in a murder that made you sick to your stomach, Vioves had a habit of doing bad things that with the help of his girlfriend, he attacked a young girl and gave her a horrible 7-inch wound. Vioves stood trial for murder and said he was innocent. He refused to help the cops or take a plea deal. Even though he fought hard, the jury found him guilty on 3 counts of murder, kidnapping, and trying to scare witnesses that he was given 3 straight life sentences without the chance of parole. Caius Vioves' disturbing change into a self-declared vampire and Satanist, complete with body changes and scary tattoos, shows how far members of the Hells Angels will go to follow a dark and violent philosophy. His case shows how dangerous the club can be and how people can take on extreme personas that make their criminal habits worse. The fact that some Hells Angels members are getting life terms for horrible crimes gives a chilling look at the dark side of this well-known motorcycle club. Attracted by the idea of friendship and power, these people fell into a world of violence and crime that eventually led to their downfall. The court procedures, guilty verdicts, and harsh sentences show how committed the legal system is to upholding justice and making sure that people who do such horrible things are held responsible. These people sit in jail for a long time. Their defiant actions and claims of innocence can't take away from the pain and suffering their victims and their families have to go through. Even in a close-knit group like the Hells Angels, the cases show how terrible it is to choose a road of violence and crime. That even though people are still interested in the Hells Angels, it is important to remember that the acts of a few do not represent the entire motorcycle club. It is important to separate the criminals from the people who are part of the motorcycle community but don't do anything wrong. The cases we talked about are a sobering warning that using violence to gain power and control only leads to isolation, jail, and a life without freedom. In the end, the fact that some Hells Angels members are getting life sentences for murder, kidnapping, and other major crimes shows the bad side of a well-known motorcycle club. The court procedures, guilty verdicts, and harsh sentences show that the legal system is committed to upholding justice and making sure that people who do terrible things are held responsible, that even within tight-knit groups like the Hells Angels. These cases are a sobering reminder of what can happen when people choose a road of violence and crime. The stories of these people serve as warnings, reminding us how important it is to protect the sacredness of life and uphold the ideals of fairness and compassion. That's all for the day. We will be right back. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.